Lesson 75, factoring trinomials. Of the form ax squared plus bx plus c, where a does not equal 1. So we've done factoring where a did equal 1. So we had, this is an example of one we already talked about. You want to find two numbers that multiply to get -2 and add to get -1. So if you went -2 times a +1, that multiplies a -2, and when you add them together, you get a -1. So these are the two numbers that you put in parentheses with your x. And you can check by foiling. So x squared minus 2x plus x is minus x minus 2. Now, if you have a trinomial where a does not equal 1, so our a, again, is the coefficient of x squared. You can do a guess and check method, but I think a really easy way to do this, a simpler way, is it's called the x method. So in the top of the x, you're going to do a times c. So we're going to do it for this problem as we go along. So we do 2 times 5. So wait, let's go like this. A equals 2, b equals a +7, and c equals 5. So we put a times c in the top of our x, and we have 10. Then at the bottom of the x, we're going to put a b. So our b is 7. Now what we want to do is we want to think of two numbers that multiply to get 10 and add to get 7. So put a cross right here. So, wait, right? Oh, down here we want to put a. Okay, so we're going to put our a right here. So we have 2, and our a here is 2. Okay, now we have to think of two numbers that multiply to get 7. So we want to multiply to get b and add to get a times c. Okay, so we want to add to 10. Wait, is that how we do it? Just a minute. No. We want to multiply to get 10 and add to get 7. Okay, I said that wrong. This is going to be confusing. Okay, here we go. So we want to multiply to get a times c and add. There we go. Yeah, that makes more sense. So we want to add to get 7, multiply to get 10. So when we multiply to get 10, I always think of 2 times 5, and when I add 2 plus 5, I get 7. So I'm going to put a 2 here and a 5 here. Now what you do is you take these two numbers as a fraction. So I'm going to put question marks in here because those are the ones that you're looking for. So we have 2 divided by 2, which reduces to 1. And we have 5 divided by 2. So we just leave it that way. In our parentheses, we have an x squared. So we're going to have a coefficient on x. So notice I moved it over a little bit. This is going to be a +1. There's no denominator, so there's no coefficient here. This one's going to be +5, and the denominator goes as the coefficient. Then what you want to do is you want to check it with the FOIL method or whatever method you like to multiply out the two binomials. So we have 2x squared, and here we have the outside is 5x, so plus 5x. The inside is plus 2x, and the last is 1 times 5, which is 2x squared plus 7x plus 5. And the answer to that then is this x plus 1, 2x plus 5. So you check it, and then you'll know if you're correct or not. So let's try another one. We'll do a few examples. So 6x squared minus 11x plus 3. So let's figure this out here with our x box. And then we'll go like this. Okay, so up here we want a times c. So let's figure out a is 6, B is negative 11, and C is 3. Make sure you're watching your signs here. So 6 times 3 is 18. That goes right here. And then our B goes in the bottom, negative 11. We're going to put our A in each of these. Now we're thinking of something that multiplies to a positive 18 and adds to a negative 11. Okay, so let's see. We have 18 is 3 times 6. And if we're negatives, that adds to negative 9. So negative 3 and negative 6 wouldn't work. So what else do we have? Negative 2 times negative 9 would give me a positive 18. And when I add them, 9, 10, 11, I get negative 11. So I'm going to put a negative 2 and a negative 9 here. So we're going to pull these out like fractions. We have negative 2 6, which reduces to negative 1/3. And we have negative 9 6, which reduces to negative 3 halves. Leave it as a fraction, because when we put it in our parentheses, we're going to take the numerator and put it at the end. Numerator here is at the end. The denominator goes in front of our x. So 2x. So this would be the answer, but let's check it. So 3x times 2x is 6x squared. 3x times a negative 3 is a negative 9x. Negative 1 times 2x is negative 2x. And negative 1 times negative 3 is plus 3. Add like terms, we get 6x squared minus 11x plus 3. And there you have that this works as that. All right, let's do some more examples. I really like doing this. I just barely learned it myself. If you couldn't tell by the way I'm teaching it. Okay, let's do this one. 4x squared plus 4x minus 3. So our A is 4, our B is 4, and our C is negative 3. Okay, so we put A times C. So we have 4 times negative 3 is negative 12. We put our B down here and our A in these two spots. Now we're thinking of two numbers that multiply to negative 12 but add to positive 4. So one's going to be negative, one's going to be positive. So if I have, say, a negative 4 times a positive 3, well, that's not going to work because when you add them, you get negative 1. How about a negative 2 times a positive 6? When I add those, I get a positive 4. So that one works. We put negative 2 and a positive 6. And we pull these out as fractions. We have negative 1/2. I just reduced that. And we have 3 halves. So in our parentheses, we're going to put our denominator as a coefficient of x. Then we're going to put a minus 1, and we're going to put plus 3 there. And let's check it. So we have 4x squared. Then we have a plus 6x minus 2x, which is a plus 4x, and minus 3. So that works. And that's the answer. Okay, I want to do one more example. Negative 17x plus 5 plus 12x squared. Notice that this is all out of order. So you can either rewrite it in order, or you can just list your A, B, C. A is a coefficient on x squared, so A is 12. B is the one that's a coefficient on x, so that's negative 17, and C is the constant, whoops, that does not have a variable on it. So that's 5. Okay, so we'll draw our x, and this, we know B comes down here, negative 17. We need to do 12 times 5, which is 60. We put our A right here. Okay, so something that multiplies to positive 60 and adds to negative 17. Well, wait, isn't that negative 12 times negative 5? That adds to negative 17 and multiplies to positive. So we have negative 12, negative 5. So we pull out these, and we have negative 1, negative 5, 12ths. So in our parentheses, the denominator, in this case, is just 1, and this one's 12x. Is the coefficient of x, and then we do a minus 1 and a minus 5. So we have 12x squared, which is right there. Negative 5x minus 12x is negative 17x, and 1 time. Oh, that's so awesome. Okay, and then that's the answer and it works. So checking really is going to help on this one. That's the end of the lesson.